A very good morning and welcome to Trent Bridge Live for Day 2's coverage of this LV Insurance County Championship match between Nottinghamshire and their visitors Glamorgan. Scoreboard currently reads Glamorgan trailing by 269 runs. That's after Nottinghamshire posted a total of 302 all out. Notts had 5 overs at the end to get a wicket, but they couldn't quite manage it. Glamorgan finishing the day 33 unscathed. The day from Nottingshire's point of view relied on Ben Duckett and a fantastic 100 from him, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But let's have a look at how day one unfolded, and we'll do that by looking at the day one highlights.
Delightful Duckett stands up for Outlaws. Round 1 was a fruitful one for Nottinghamshire, a win on the south coast against Sussex, largely thanks to Stephen Mullaney's new top score. That made them one of only 2 sides across both divisions to have put some ink in their wins column. The visitors to Trent Bridge, Glamorgan, off the back of a creditable draw with Durham and returning to action in the field. And early on, that looks to be the right choice for Glamorgan. Slater, quickly dispensed with, caught behind off the bowling of Michael Nisa. Hamid and Duckett responded well to the loss of Slater, coming together to drag the score past 50. The opener, though, would feel a little bit unlucky to go the way he did. The shot from Duckett firm, the slide tackle from Wales, something John Charles would be proud of. Hamid ran out at the non-striker's end. Duckett started to hit out with Clark alongside him, 100-team runs in their sight when he flicked Lloyd over the ropes for 6. They walked in for the lunch break content with their first session, the score 108 for 2, and both Duckett and Clark going well. The partnership was separated after the break, Van der Hoogten beating Clark's defences to bowl him for 35. There could have been another wicket for the visitors too, but Duckett's luck was in, and instead of traipsing off, he was raising the bat, 50 runs coming from 104 deliveries. Joey Everson had carried his bat last week, but this time would go without scoring, trapped in front by Van der Hoogten. That saw Mullaney return to the middle, fresh off the back of his match-winning 192, and he picked up where he'd left off, boundaries flowing as Notts looked to 200 before tea. Duckett would be the man to get them there, another boundary sealing a batting bonus point for the hosts. But he'd have another moment to relish before the break, a 6th ton for Notts sealed with a swept single, up to the mark of 169 balls, the score at tea, 223 for 4. Mullaney had a lucky escape after the break, dropped on 29, the chance a tough one for David Lloyd at first slip. And to rub salt into the wound, 5 balls later, Mullaney carted Whale over the leg side boundary to bring up the 100-run partnership, the skipper now up to 40. A single from Duckett had Nottinghamshire up to 250, but Glamorgan were about to peg them back. Mullaney was the man to go, his drive uppish, stinging the hands of Taylor off the bowling of Hogan. 1 brought 2 as the saying goes, and it was through the part-time bowling of Marnus Labuschagne, the world's top-ranked batter, making his mark with the ball this time. Moore's gone for 4. And then another. Liam Patterson-White unable to get off the mark, trapped in front by Hogan. Glamorgan with some momentum now. The next wicket was the big one, and would you believe it, after 5 hours in the middle, negotiating Glamorgan's attack, Duckett handed a simple catch back to Labuschagne, a second for the Aussie in just his 3rd over. Hutton tried to hold on with Pattinson, but would eventually fall, bowled by Nisa for 8, maximum bowling points sealed for Glamorgan. The innings was wrapped up when Pattinson skied one, and Nisa took a great catch from his own bowling running back. Nottinghamshire 302 all out. Glamorgan now had a tricky period before the close to negotiate, and they'd start in shaky fashion, Lloyd nicking a Patterson no ball to slip. They'd reached 33 for none at the close, 269 behind Nottinghamshire's 302. That score was built around Duckett's fine 122 with contributions from Hamid, Clark and Mullaney. Nisa the pick of the bowlers with 3 for 56. Glamorgan will hope for similar from their batters on day 2, but the early Division 2 leaders Notts will be just as determined, having already tasted victory this season.
So they were the highlights from day 1 there for you. Kind of like an up and down day for Notts in a way. Started pretty promisingly, and then in the middle session it really was domination between sort of Ben Duckett and Stephen Mullaney. Now if we take a look at Ben Duckett's innings in particular, he got a first class 100, another one here at home, And as you can see there, 122 runs. He was at the crease for literally just over 5 hours. 5 hours, 1 minute, Duckett at the crease, and he was very crucial in building that Nottinghamshire innings there. 207 balls with 12 fours coming in there. He played all around the ground, leg side, offside. It really was a very positive innings from Duckett there, and one that was crucial for Notts to get that 302. Now, we spoke to head coach Peter Moores here last night on the stream. He was quite positive with how Ben Duckett had played, how the team had played. He was pretty happy with the 302 all out. Obviously, you mentioned there was times that potentially we might have got a little bit more out of it, but 302 was a very good score in the end, and that 300, over 300, could be very crucial, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's have a listen to what Ben Duckett said last night. He spoke to Trent Bridge Club Media. Ollie, let's have a listen to what Ben Duckett had to say.
Ben, well batted, a brilliant day for yourself and a fascinating day of cricket really. What are your thoughts on where Notts are at the end of day one?
Yeah, I think we're happy. I think it's probably above par. Obviously getting stuck in on that. I think we, in large periods of the day we batted superbly there. I think they bowled very well in that last session, put us under a bit, and obviously if Jimmy kept his foot behind the line there, we could have had a pole there. But yeah, I think it's one of those pitches where, as we saw tonight, it can happen very fast. So hopefully we go bang bang early in the morning and kick on from there.
Yeah, talk us through the pitch. You spent 200 deliveries at the crease batting and watching on from the other end as well. Is there a little bit in it for the bowlers? Yeah,
like when it's in the right area, there's more than enough there. I think personally from their side, I don't think they put the ball in the right area enough for the first two sessions anyway. So we know exactly what we need to do here. Hopefully they're thinking that we got a few more runs than we should have done, and we know that we're very happy with that. So yeah, I think if we can go bang bang in the morning, we'll be in a good position.
And to get to three figures yourself, how pleasing is that, especially this early in the season as well?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing early in the season. I felt really good throughout pre-season and played a pretty awful shot in the first game at Sussex, and I think I missed the boat there on that pitch. So yeah, it was really nice to contribute, but fingers crossed it'll be in a winning performance.
And in front of members and supporters as well, you clearly enjoyed doing that, having done sort of the same when they returned last year. A little bit more special doing it in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's, as I say, it's really nice to start the season like that, but after the couple of years we've had, and to be honest, it was quite a nice crowd today for a 4-day game. So yeah, almost giving a little bit back to the members and supporters. Yeah, it's good.
How important was that rebuild with Mullaney as well? They're in the middle. I think 116 your partnership was worth, when it could have gone either way in that second session. Yeah,
they're the periods where you can be 210 all out, or you get to 300. And obviously the form that he's come in from last week, he was he took it to the bowlers early on, and then I felt like it was a period of the game where it was kind of to step on them a little bit. So yeah, I think the way the rate we scored at. Fingers crossed it'll be a very important partnership.
We've seen how close these games can be, and at the end of the season those points can be crucial. So how important is it, with some atypical shots potentially, that Dane and Jimmy got those 3 points at the end as well?
Yeah, points could be massive. We saw that last season. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that Dane shaped up beautifully there, but he got us over the line, so that's all that matters.
And you say there is a bit in it for the bowlers, so how exciting is it for the prospect of standing in that slip cordon potentially, and having Jimmy and Dane and Brett and all the seamers at your disposal coming in tomorrow?
Yeah, it's certainly going to happen at some point tomorrow. We've just got to stick in. It's 5 overs tonight, we can go aggressive as we want, but tomorrow I think it's stick in there, try and keep them as dry as we can, and I think it'll happen fast. I think it'll be tough to start on, so every new batter that comes in, we've got to be right at them.
Ben Duckett there speaking to the Trent Bridge media team last night after day one, and he spoke about really that he felt that we had to really attack the bowlers today. Maybe it struggle to, when they get in, that they'll take time to get in and get kind of used to the wicket there. So this morning session really will be crucial for the bowlers. It could have been quite different last night if Jimmy Patterson hadn't been that little bit, he was a bit eager last night. He overstepped when obviously they nicked one into the slip, so it could have been a wicket down, but it wasn't. They tried to attack last night in those 5 overs, and it'll be about changing the plan today and really kind of pushing the Glamorgan batters into maybe a little bit defensive and protecting that 302 score that we put on the board. But as Ben Duckett said there, he felt that it was maybe above par and that they were very happy with it, but a fantastic innings there from Ben Duckett. Now, if we just look at the partnerships that happened in Nottinghamshire's first innings there, we'll see that really it was a different story throughout the day. When speaking to head coach Peter Moores last night, he mentioned that he felt that Notts won 2 out of the 3 sort of sessions there, and you can see early doors between the partnerships between Slater, Hamid, but then also Hamid and Duckett. And also I want to just mention that Duckett-Clark partnership there. 67 runs there, and Clarkey really did sort of like look like he was getting into his groove, really finding a bit of rhythm out there in the middle. And unfortunately, he just chopped onto his wickets, hit his elbow, Peter Moore said last night as well, so very unlucky there. But it kind of just highlights there that 2 sessions to Nottinghamshire, but Glamorgan did come out in that final session and really took that final session there. So day 2 here at Trent Bridge. It looks absolutely fantastic here at Trent Bridge. Lovely, bright sunshine. And wherever you're watching us today, we hope it's the same there. But if you can just see out there on the pitch, you will see that the Nottinghamshire bowlers are getting ready there. Brett Hutton, as you can see, just running up there, just getting warm, just getting the old elbows and arms free, ready for obviously a stint here this morning. Now, the umpires are about to make their way out onto the field. So I will now pass you over to the commentary team. And this game, it is Nick Webb. And of course, I will pass you over to the one and only Mr. Dave Bracegirdle.
Well, hello everybody and a very good morning. Welcome to Trent Bridge. Good Friday one and all. It's a lovely morning here in this part of the East Midlands, and we're looking forward to a cracking second day of this LV County Championship Division 2 game between Nottinghamshire and Glamorgan. Really enjoyed yesterday's play, a real old battle between bat and ball throughout the day. Nottinghamshire put into bat, made 302. Glamorgan got off to a little bit of a flyer before stumps, 33 without loss from 5 overs. They'll be looking to press on, obviously Notts will be looking for wickets, and we've got an ever-expanding crowd here to watch this second day alongside myself, Dave Bracegirdle, the voice of Glamorgan cricket from BBC Wales. A very good morning. He's been out there, he's been sunbathing, folks. Good morning, Nick Webb.
Very good morning. Yes, it is that sort of weather. A pair of shorts was spotted with one gentleman. It is that sort of weather, and it's a very pleasant change from last week's conditions, I think, for both our counties. A very good morning. A holy day for some, a holiday for most. But Dave and myself have the enviable task of bringing you the next 7 or 8 hours of action. We had Brucey bonus time yesterday as play went on till 7. Before I nearly got shut in the ground, which isn't the first time I've had that experience. Had to dodge around several exits before I found one open. There we are, lovely conditions. And as you say, Lloyd and Salter got off to a bit of a flyer. Lloyd, though, was caught in inverted commas second ball off Pattinson, only for the bowler to find he'd overstepped.
Yeah, just noticing straight away the over 8 Glamorgan -1 then at the end of the first day. Here's Brett Hutton, and here's Nick.
Hutton then runs towards us from the pavilion end and bowls to Lloyd, who's playing this one out gently into the mid-wicket area, and they go through for a single, the first run of the morning, 34 without loss. Welcome along wherever you are listening. And however, via the BBC Sport website or app, or via the Nottinghamshire website, trentbridge.co.uk or glamorgancricket.co.uk. And hopefully we have a battle as enthralling as on day 1, where Nottinghamshire won the first 2 sessions. Glamorgan won the last one. Nottinghamshire looking to strike back with 4 slips and a short leg for Hutton to bowl to Salter, who's beaten outside off stump, pushing rather uncertainly at that one. Andrew Salter still settling into a new role as opening batsman. He's batted 3 a couple of times in the past. And possibly he has the feeling that although he took 7 wickets in unusual circumstances in round 1, generally in April it's his best chance of getting into the side to do a bit of top order batting as well. He leaves that one outside off stump, shouldering arms as through it goes to Moores.
The wicket, or the pitch to be strictly accurate, very different colour to what it was this time yesterday, isn't it? A little bit of greenish tinge to it, but it's obviously drying out all the time, and much paler today.
Hutton runs towards us then to bowl to Salter, and he defends that one on the leg side. As Slater jogs back from short leg to do the fielding.
Been updating to BBC Radio Nottingham in just a second, Nick. The first of many bulletins today into the 11 o'clock news. Of course, it's a big sporting day up and down the country, and by that, of course, we mean there's a lot of football on, so there'll be plenty of football on BBC Radio Nottingham, so our reports there will be intermittent throughout the day. 34 without loss as Hutton bowls to Andrew Salter, who shoulders arms. He's got 15, Lloyd has 14, and there have been 5 extras, which, as Nick was saying, tell a little bit of a story, because the second ball of the innings, James Pattinson could have had a wicket, but he overstepped, so instead of having that wicket, he cost 2 runs. 34 without loss. Hutton to wrap up this first over of the second morning, and there's a real throw the bat at it from Andrew Salter outside the off stump. Gets nothing on it. Swished at fresh air, and it nestles in the gloves of Tom Moore. So a single from the over. There is that update. And we've just started here in absolutely glorious conditions. It was a very enthralling first day, watched by a decent crowd. Many of them have come back again today for day 2. Nottinghamshire yesterday, 302 all out. Glamorgan got off to a bit of a flyer, 33 without loss at the close. They've added 1 run so far this morning. We've had 1 over, bowled by Brett Hutton. James Pattinson to bowl the second over of the day. Glamorgan 34 without loss. So it will be the Australian James Pattinson, who did a nice little job with the bat yesterday, just made sure that Notts got up from 283 for 9. He had an entertaining partnership with Dane Patterson for the last wicket, but largely through to Pattinson's efforts, they got that 3rd batting bonus point, but I guess he'll have been ruining the moment later on then when he overstepped. Could have had David Lloyd, who's now on strike. So Pattinson to Lloyd, start of the second over of the morning. Oh, full toss, hit down the ground. Not entirely sure he's got it completely out of the middle, but certainly got enough on it to get that away for the first boundary of the day. It's one of those that could have slipped and turned into a beamer. It really did slip. It was knee high rather than anything above waist high, in which case it would have been a really nasty delivery, but it's nicely played by Lloyd, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not theologically at the stage where you can say Happy Easter yet until Sunday morning, but certainly that was something of a present to David Lloyd to get his account going with the boundary.
38 without loss, then Lloyd on to 18. Pattinson in again. This is better, but it's on the pads and whipped away. Managed to pick out the fielder, Joey Everson, down there at long leg. Just grazing on the boundary edge there, in the vicinity of the Batman board and also the very edge of the Smith-Cooper stand. So another single, 39 without loss. On the old Twittery thing, at Brace Cricket, at Nick Webb 2017, Stephen sent a photo of pretty much what we can see. So good to be back inside the ground for the first time this year. Good to have you here, Stephen. Hope you enjoy your day as Pattinson is into Salter, pushes it back to the Australian who does well, the big Victorian seamer. Not that he's that old, but plays his cricket in Australia for Victoria. It was a good stop from Pattinson.
Yes, it always has that image, doesn't it, of chaps playing cricket in top hats and waistcoats, if you say, as a Victorian cricketer.
You say the old mutton chops, the whiskers,
yes,
and whatever. Yeah. It's a good stop from Pattinson, who comes in again. Umpire at this end is Chris Watts. Bowls outside the off stump and left alone as it goes through to wicket-keeper Tom Morse. 3 slips, Joe Clark at first, Ben Duckett at second, and Brett Hutton tucked in there at third. Morgan then shading the honours on the first day, but as Nick said, you can make a case for not probably having the better slightly of sessions 1 and 2. Bizarre sort of day really, but as we've seen before, one bad session can really set you back in these matches. Next ball nicely defended by Salter. That was zeroing in on its target. Good looking delivery, but well kept out.
Yes, Andrew Salter with a little bit to prove. I mean, he's shown he's respectable batsman with a high score of 90, but operating against the new ball is very different gravy from coming in 7 or 8.
39 without loss. Final ball of the 7th over. Glamorgan off to a good start here, and Pattinson can't do anything to inflict the first bit of collateral damage, as this is well wide of the off stump. 39 without loss. 15th of April. It's a day tinged with a lot of sadness in history, of course. This was the day in 1912 the old Titanic went down in the early hours of the morning. Of course, also the 15th of April, a day remembered in these parts for all the wrong reasons as well, but principally in Liverpool because it was the day of the Hillsborough disaster 33 years ago today. Thoughts with everybody affected. 39 without loss as Brett Hutton to bowl to David Lloyd.
Here he comes then, still 4 slips in the sunshine, and Lloyd working one just past short leg for an ambled single into the mid-wicket area, and Glamorgan move on to 40 without a loss. Reminder that you'll be able to listen to our football commentaries on BBC Radio Wales if you're that way inclined, with the programme presented from Rodney Parade. But Hutton is into bowl to Salto, pushes forward, bat and pad close together, an ooh and an ah from Hutton, who's clearly a fan of the dramatic approach to bowling.
Yeah, you know, when it's the effort ball, you get a really loud Maria Sharapova-like grunt. Mark Modelang says, morning gents from my garden in Stamford. Had a really lovely day at Trent Bridge yesterday, enjoyed it very much. Decent crowd there. I'd forgotten all about Derek Randall's 174 bat being in the pavilion. He sent a photo of that famous bat.
Hutton is into ball to Salter, who deals with that one firmly enough. So far, Salter has been solid with the ball on his stumps and a little potentially fallible outside the off stump.
Solid Slater. I mentioned that when James Pattinson was bowling, he had 3 slips. Brett Hutton, not the same express pace, but obviously doing a little bit with the ball. He's got 4 in there, and Pattinson has gone in at 4th slip. Asiba Mead is at 3rd.
As Hutton's into bowl, Salter drives nicely into the offside, but won't get a reward because there's a tumbling stop at cover by Liam Patterson-White. The 3rd member, if you weren't listening yesterday, we've got Max Pato today, or Pato Max, with Patterson, White, Pattinson and Patterson, all taking the field for Nottinghamshire.
Is that Pato cubed?
Pato cubed, yeah, to the power of 3. We've also got Salter and Slater, who are very close to each other at the moment as Salter faces up and leaves one outside the off stump. Those well-known anagrams.
Yes,
Slater lurking at short leg.
We've got Pat O'Banton at third man and Patty Bullet down at fine leg.
Oh dear.
40 without loss. You mentioned Liam Patterson, White. I noticed that Jack Birkinshaw is on the ground. The ECB's, I think he's one of the scouts and predominantly has a look at the spinners. He was terrific last week, Liam Patterson, White. Maybe Flat Jack is having a look at Patterson, White.
Hutton bowls. Salter turns it just past Slater, who jogs back. The batsman ambled through for a single. It was a single by consensus there, with the fielder knowing that there was no need to pursue it, and the batsman knowing that there was no particular hurry. So, Joe Root, gone, stepped down as England's men's test captain.
Yeah, the big announcement this morning, the big cricket announcement. So England will be looking for a new test captain. Should correct myself there, because of course Flat Jack wasn't Jack Birkinshaw. He was Jack Simmons, wasn't he? The Lancashire
another
spinner, but
long-serving Jack spinning.
Yeah, good man, Jack Simmons, who came and I think just before COVID came and did an after-dinner speech here that I attended at Trent Bridge a couple of years ago. Salter on a strike on 16 as Pattinson tries to winkle out one of these Glamorgan openers. 41 without loss. Graham Rowley says, good morning, Dave. Beautiful sunny day down here in the south. Looking forward to the boys rattling through Glamorgan this morning. We'll, however, be sharing your coverage with the mighty Reds at lunchtime. Yes, Nottingham Forest supporters, I would imagine, will be focusing very much on their match at 12:30 away against Luton. We might just be able to hear a few shouts though this afternoon from over our shoulders, because Notts County are at home just behind us this afternoon as Pattinson bowls again. Extra bit of bounce there. That was nice little bit of zip as it took off. Good hard bounce, good carry through to Tom Moores there.
It's been a feature of this match so far, hasn't it, that bowlers have got reward in terms of lift when they've bowled a little bit back of a length. And David Harrison, the Glamorgan assistant coach, saying last night that they recognise they bowled too full in the opening session.
41 without loss. Salter has 16. All the makings of a decent platform being laid here, but Pattinson gets the breakthrough. Joe Clark with the catch at first slip, and Salter has gone. Made his way to 16, and Joe Clark takes a catch at comfortable height in truth, but it went very quickly through to him. And James Pattinson is up and running with his first wicket in his third spell for Notts. Salter out, caught Clark, ball Pattinson 16, batted for 34 minutes, faced 32 balls and hit 3 fours, but he is gone within the first 13 or 14 minutes of day 2 with Joe Clark pouching the catch. 41 for 1.
Yes, Andrew Salter's done half a job, if you like, in surviving the tricky 5 overs last night alongside David Lloyd, but still has got, I think, yet to get to grips with the extra pace and freshness of the bowlers that he faces opening the batting. I would imagine he'd get at least 1, maybe 2 more games in the side. But Salter's exit brings to the middle for his first Glamorgan innings of 2022 Marnus Labuschagne in his 3rd season with the club, having missed the 2020 truncated season. Last year took a while to get going in the first-class game and adapting from different conditions, and he didn't really get a score in his first 4 matches and 5 completed innings, I suppose, last season before he got into the runs, which he will at some point, no doubt, but Nottinghamshire will be hoping it's not quite yet.
No, ticket prices aren't cheap, but those that have purchased to come in today, those that have come here on their season membership, they're going to get value for money here. James Pattinson bowling to Marnus Labuschagne. You've got 2 high quality performers here. In the case of Labuschagne right now, the highest in the world. He's ranked number 1 ahead of Steve Smith, Virat Kohli, Babar Azam, Joe Root, Dave Bracegirdle, whoever you want to throw in the mix. He's up there, Marnus Labuschagne, and James Pattinson won't be short of motivation here to try and dismiss him. He's high off taking a wicket, and he will know that this is Glamorgan's gun batsman, and he will know it's his job to try and dismiss him. So this should be fun. 3 slips again. Thought they might have slipped another one in, because Pattinson's nicely in the groove here. Bowls to Labuschagne, who leaves it alone, and lots of oohs and ahs, but it is a no ball. So the extra effort there from James Pattinson, and it's 2 runs to the total. We have seen this throughout his career with Pattinson. He will go for runs, but he will take wickets, and it's just balancing one with the other, isn't it? 45 for 1 that will now become. No, it's not. It is 43 for 1. It was 41 for 1 at the fall. Did have 1 or 2 glitches, uncharacteristically glitches with the big scoreboard, the Batman board here at Trent Bridge yesterday. I'm sure Ian's given it a bit of a reboot and a thorough talking to, as Pattinson comes in to bowl to Labuschagne. He's away, working this nicely with soft hands. Good placement through mid-wicket. Dane Patterson's after it. They've already run 2, so they should get a 3rd, and they will indeed. Comes back to complete the 3, so Labuschagne safely underway. 46 for 1. Mentioned Ian Smith, who does the boards here at Trent Bridge. A very good morning as well to our scorers. Anne Cusworth, I beg your pardon, Roger the Duke Marshall is doing this game for Notts. Apologies, Roger. And Andrew Hignell, lovely to have him back at Trent Bridge doing the notching for Glamorgan. Our match referees Simon Hinks, our umpires Richard Illingworth and Chris Watts, and let's not forget Paul Harrison, who reminded yesterday, who washes the towels, makes the tea and toast, and does everything that the players could wish for over there in the pavilion. Good morning all. As Pattinson bowls, absolute gem of a delivery, which was just angling in and then jagged away, and left Lloyd just groping up fresh air a little bit on its way through to Moores. It's just stepped up a notch, hasn't it, all of a sudden?
Oh, yes. I think this is going to bring the best out of bowlers, presumably around the UK, when they see Labuschagne striding to the wicket. They will give themselves a chance to hit a few headlines and a mention in dispatches and reports all around the country.
46 for 1. David Lloyd, 20 not out. Pattinson to bowl to the Glamorgan skipper. Nice and full again. Oh, great work by Pattinson. Wonderful stop. It was a loose ball. It was another full toss. Lloyd's already put him away for 1 boundary. This one a low full toss, which he tried to drive to the Australian's left, and Pattinson threw himself down, stopped the ball, and then attempted a run out, which was never on. And he's having another word with Chris Watts, the umpire, just trying to get him on the side, really. Tell me, please tell me where my feet are landing. And got to be behind the line, James. Just quickly before we throw it over to Nick again, Andy Easom says, so for me, it's got to be Stuart Broad to replace Joe Root at the helm. Few other candidates for me. Maybe Tom Abel, the best uncapped captain. He says, come on, you pies, today. That's Notts County. But great to be back in the ground, Trent Bridge, he means. Yesterday, the first time in a very, very long time. Enjoy your day, Andy. Enjoy your weekend of sport, and many thanks for getting in touch at Brace Cricket at Nick Webb 2017.
Hutton then, 0 for 10 so far to bowl to Marnus Labuschagne on 3 not out.
Yes, he's been miserly at one end, relatively speaking, and Pattinson, well, he's just giving it the full beans at the other, isn't he? He's going to go for runs, but might just get you a wicket or 2.
3 slips, a short leg, 4 saving the single, and a deep backward square. As Hutton is in to Labuschagne, who leaves. There's a big appeal, he's given out! Marnus Labuschagne goes for 3. Nottinghamshire have their gun wicket. Misjudgment by Labuschagne, and off he goes, 46 for 2.
Didn't play a shot. Brett Hutton just jagging it back in to the Australian. Oh, and it looks absolutely stone cold dead. The error of judgment from Marnus Labuschagne. and he's gone. He's on his way back. Won't be able to hurt Notts in this first innings. And Brett Hutton with the well, it only counts as 1 wicket, doesn't it? But Notts will see that as a huge blow they've struck here, and a couple of wickets in consecutive overs. Marnus Labuschagne, LBW Brett Hutton for 3, and just faced 3 balls, and he's on his way back. I would imagine it'll be Sam Northeast next, but what a start to the morning for Pattinson and for Hutton, and overnight's 33 without loss has become 46 for 2.
See, I think that is an illustration of the adaptation between Australian and UK cricket. Different levels of bounce. All right, this is a reasonably bouncy pitch, but there'd be situations in Australia where you could leave on length, but shouldering arms, ball nipping back, and it was no real surprise when Mr. Illingworth put his finger up. As Sam Northeast comes to the wicket with Glamorgan in some difficulty at 46 for 2 in the 10th.
Got 2 wickets, Labuschagne, and 3 runs. I think the 2 wickets will be seen as a little bit of a bonus yesterday. The 3 runs, well, that's not what he was hoping for. This, to my mind, is I know down in Somerset they will be singing the claims, and all forever will be making the claims of James Hildreth as the best uncapped player in the country. For me, yeah, he's been a fine player, but really rate this fella, Sam Northeast.
Northeast then facing and getting off the mark first ball with a nice drive down the ground towards the pavilion end. There's a chase by Mullaney, and he's hauled the ball up a couple of metres, 10 metres or so inside the far ropes, and Northeast is off the mark with a couple of runs.
Nigel King, 2 wickets, 2 great deliveries to get them as well. He says, Steve Kicks, good morning guys, early breakthrough for Notts. Scoreboard not flickering today on my screen. Glorious day, and wow, what a big wicket taken by Brett.
Hutton is in again to bowl to Northeast, who drives again to mid-on, this time finding the fielder, and there is no run.
You must have seen a bit of Sam Northeast in your time. I know perhaps occasionally different divisions or whatever, but I just think he's absolute top level, this fella.
Yes, well, Hampshire Glamorgan haven't played much in first class in recent years. As Hutton bowls, and Northeast gets an inside edge. Didn't know anything about that one. Past his leg stump, it trickles down to fine leg for a single, but a moral victory for Brett Hutton. I can't recall him in the games that I've commented on getting big runs for Kent against Glamorgan either, but I may be wrong on
Sometimes
that
the way it goes, isn't it? I think he's 32 now. I suspect he's not going to get an international look in now, but I've seen him churn out some very useful scores.
As Hutton bowls again, and Lloyd punches it hard down into the ground. Slater gets a hand to it, and there's no run. Ingram will be in people's minds, says Hiraeth, seemingly jokingly on Twitter. Colin Ingram having started with 87 last week. With regard to England's Test match captain, Dave Price, I think you have to pick a captain who's a definite starter every Test match. Well, yes, that would be nice, but who is a definite starter if you're rotating bowlers? As Lloyd is beaten by that one outside off stump. An excellent over from Brett Hutton ends with Glamorgan 49 for 2. Lloyd 20, Northeast 3. If you are just tuning in, Marnus Labuschagne, LBW to Hutton, third ball, playing no shot for 3 runs. Morning to Trevor Freeman, who said he was in Lords this week, but on the stream today and loving the red ball cricket, watching from Dublin. Good morning, Trevor. Alan Jones, with regard to Joe Root, really shocked by today's news. Who knew that Billy had a brother? Yeah, Billy Root, the Glamorgan batsman's lesser-known brother Joe. Stokes every time for me, says Dave Price.
I think he said he wants to concentrate on his cricket. As Pattinson is in, this one's left alone. I may be wrong, but I thought there was a quote the other day from Ben Stokes. Maybe it was just one of those. Just almost backhanded comment to Joe Root because because there wasn't
there's no vacancy.
A vacancy, and perhaps it might be different now. Joe Root stood down. Ben, will you do it? It's a different scenario. It's like being hypothetically asked by a journalist a couple of weeks ago, isn't it?
It's like a politician ask if they want to be a party leader.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm willing to serve my party and my country in my current role. Whatever.
There's Pattinson. Bowls to North East and he. Defence.
With regard to my suggestion of Johnny Bairstow, Margaret Jackson says not convinced he has the right temperament, much as I admire him as a player. Kath Colley-Priest going with Broady short term.
Well, this is it. Do you go with let's pick an 11 and pick somebody, and if it's one of the senior players who might only be around for another year or two, then so be it. Or do you look to go? Somebody might settle into the role and be there for 6-7 years. Pattinson bowls well wide of the off stump, and there's I don't know. There's people who haven't necessarily nailed down a place, and I'm thinking of guys that have skippered sides like Sam Billings.
Yeah.
Maybe Ollie Pope has been in and out, but a lot of people seem to think that he's going to be an absolute nail in the middle order. Get him in there and get him used to the job. Real outside candidate, and I can only go from local experience here. And I have been saying Ben Duckett will play for England this year. 49 for 2. Pattinson, very wide of the off stump. He has skippered sides. He plays all around the world in all formats. He's banging form, as we saw yesterday. 27 years of age. I mean, it's a bit of a wild card, and I don't think it will happen. He's got a good cricket brain on him. He's always, talk to Stephen Mullaney and the others. He's always coming up with suggestions and whatever. But are they going to look at Division 2 players? Are they going to look at somebody who's not in the side? I don't know, but I'd chuck Ben Duckett in there as perhaps a bit of a wild card who might be around and available for the next 6 or 7 years. Pattinson bowls. This one's cut back, and now he's asking Chris Watts. Just trying to get this umpire on side with a long chat with him at the end of his last over, and now he was hoping his new mate would raise the finger and send Sam North East on his way. That was a very deliberate setup, wasn't it, from
yes.
from Pattinson, because he's bowled 3 that have gone wider and wider and wider and wider, and then this one did jag back, but maybe going over the top or maybe doing too much. We're not in line and we're high in the sky, but it's good to watch how these bowlers think and try and work on their prey. 49 for 2. North East has 1 ball left in this over, and he's ducked underneath it. Goes over the arch of his back. 49 for 2. Glamorgan here on BBC Sport Online, BBC Radio Nottingham and BBC Wales.
Yeah, that was good variation in that over, wasn't it, from Pattinson. A couple of balls wide outside off stump. Maybe a little bit of a way swing after it had passed the stumps largely. And what looked like an inducker, and then a short ball.
Look here at Pattinson and Chris Watts. He's very deliberately trying to get the umpire on the side here. And tell me, Chris, where's my foot landing, and how close am I? And I'm trying not to overstep, mate. And he is, isn't he? He's really getting engaged with the umpire.
It's one of the newer members of the circuit, as Lloyd gets a thick edge to the first ball from Hutton and runs it down towards third man. It's enthusiastically pursued by Hasib Hamid and keeps them down to a single, and the ripple of polite applause from the couple of dozen Glamorgan supporters here and the polite members of the home crowd as the 50 comes up for Glamorgan. First task, of course, is 153 to avoid the follow-on. For Glamorgan.
You won't have to worry about that, I don't think.
Just thought I'd chuck it out there.
11.1 overs for the 50. They got off to a fast start last night, didn't they? That might be one of the quicker 50s in the innings.
As Hutton in to bowl and beats North East. propping forwards, not quite getting to the pitch of it.
We've got the Nottinghamshire County flag. I didn't mention it yesterday. It was there all day, draped on the railings, on the Fox Road stand. That's the county flag. I've not noticed. There are one or two. You're quite right. One or two Welsh supporters here. Not noticed any flags or banners or what have you. Usually come with plenty of notification of who they are and where they are.
As North East leaving that one outside off stump safely through to Moors. Yes, I think the followers today are the more sedate end of the Glamorgan following. Crisis Heron says I'd have Vince come in as an experienced captain for England and bat at 6, even a temporary appointment until a player more settled in the team puts their hand up. Update coming, it seems, for BBC Radio Nottingham. So
I think we're going to be a minute away because they've just gone to Forest for their team news.
Hutton bowls and North East plays gently to mid-on and there's no run. Di Samuel says Bairstow would seem a good choice, but even he isn't nailed on in the starting 11.
Who's that, Nick?
Di Samuel suggesting on the Bairstow.
Johnny Bairstow,
yeah. Probably past few years, says Dr. Samuel, have probably exposed how poor the pathway is in developing strength in depth when it comes to Test cricket. Over-reliance on the public school system. As Hutton bowls and North East will get a single down to third man with just angled bats as Hamid fields again. 51 for 2. North East is on to 4 not out.
I'm not sure we rely on the public school system anymore, are you?
Figures are pretty high in the county game still, aren't they? Joss Butler, how much Test cricket is he going to play?
Just going to do a quick update for Radio Nottingham. Yes, lovely morning, and Nottinghamshire have made a decent start to this second day. It really was a thrilling day of cricket yesterday with Nottinghamshire 302 all out, having been 258 for 4. Fell away a little bit. You wondered if Glamorgan would go on and take the spoils, but they've lost 2 wickets this morning, and one of them, when I tell you in a second, a really big one. The opener, Andrew Salter, made 16. James Pattinson with the breakthrough. It was a good catch at first slip by Joe Clark in that it came quickly to him round about waist high. But that was Salter on his way, an important breakthrough, 41 for 1. But then the big one, then the big fish. Marnus Labuschagne is currently ranked world #1 Test batsman. Labuschagne, the Australian. The battle against James Pattinson, we were looking forward to it, but it was Brett Hutton who got him. Labuschagne not playing a shot. Hutton got one to just jag back and trapped him in front of all 3 out. LBW 46 for 2. So Notts made 302. Glamorgan in reply, losing those 2 wickets, are 52 for 2.
Yes, thank you to Shirish Gold for the suggestion of Joss Butler. Not sure how much Test cricket he's going to play. Will Fallane says Ben Folkes worth a shout. Well, he's only just sort of nailing down the keeper position. Liam says Bairstow certainly has the personality for it. He'd lead from the front.
Pattinson in, squared David Lloyd up. He was playing a bit of French cricket there. Comes off the outside edge and runs down to third man for a single. 53 for 2. Lloyd onto 23.
Yes, if you'd like to put the case for your favourite candidates, I'm sure there'll be a few Stuart Broads heading Dave's way on Twitter. Brace Cricket, Nick Webb 2017, for your thoughts on this game and on England captaincy.
Max Everett says you're out of sync with the video in the last over. The video's behind by about 30 seconds. Refresh it, Max. That might do it. Otherwise, I'll wait 30 seconds after each delivery to describe it, and then that'll be all right for you. It's Pattinson in bowls to North East, who drops this on the leg side, and there's no run. It's always nice to hear these things, but they're totally out of our control. We have a microphone, we watch the cricket, we talk, and then it comes out of your television at the other end, and there's not an awful lot we can do in between, I'm afraid. So generally find a refresh sorts most people out, but beyond that unable to offer much by the way of technical assistance. We're in the 13th over. James Pattinson, 1 for 34. Bowls again. This one got big on North East, and he played it very nicely in truth. Just stood tall on his tippy toes and played it down on the offside. A bit of a chat again between bowler and umpire. There's all important last few strides in there before he delivers the ball. Doesn't want to overstep again. Lots have already lost a wicket.
Stephen Moss on Twitter questioning Andrew Salter's credentials and opener, saying, why is Joe Cook being discarded? Well, he averaged 18 last season in the Championship, that's why.
53 for 2. Next ball past the outside edge and through to the keeper. Sometimes you have to just back the talent, don't they? And like I say, I've only seen Joe Cook a couple of times, but I thought he's the fella. Max says sorted. Thank you. Keep talking, Dave. So yeah, we are. If anything technical, just come to Dave. Switch it off and start again. That's
yes.
usually the way. That's generally how I get through life. If anything technical breaks, which it often does. God, I had a shocker on Bundy, an absolute shocker. 53 for 2 as the next ball down the leg side, taken by Moores. Had all these plans. I'd have to book a blood test at the doctor's. I have decided, after all these years of vanity, that I probably ought to get some glasses, so I booked an optician's appointment. So I've got all these things to do, which in itself are going to take forever, and then a filling came out, so I had to sort that out. And as I went out to go into town to get all these things sorted out, I had a blooming puncture. So it was off to the garage mechanic to get that sorted out. Sat in the waiting room for an hour. Oh dear.
You've had a frustrating few weeks from the sound of it, with the dreaded virus as well.
Yeah.
53 for 2 as Hutton will run towards us from the pavilion end and bowl to David Lloyd, who defends it.
See, a puncture now, I don't know if you've experienced it. If you get a puncture on more modern cars, I'm of an age where you just open the boot and lift the flap up and there's a spare tyre there, and then you jack it up and change the spare tyre. But there never is a spare tyre now. There's a gun and a tube of glue, but fortunately it hadn't gone down enough. I was able to get to the garage place to get it sorted out, and a nail had gone in. So.
Oh dear.
But you don't generally have spare tyres now on more modern cars, which is a real pain, isn't it?
Hutton is into bowl. Lloyd drives beautifully down the ground. He'll get a couple of runs here at least, up towards the pavilion. Patterson White is retrieving it from just in front of the pavilion, and they will jog back for a third run. 56 for 2. David Lloyd 26.
Mark Hefter says not sure about 30 seconds behind. Talking of Broad, as England captain suggests, your sound is a few years behind. Yeah, I didn't suggest him, Mark, but yeah, good. I like that. It's good.
Freddie Jones suggests Mike Brearley could still do a job. Hutton is into bowl to North East, who struck on the pad, pushing forwards in ball into the Gully Hamid fields. Yes, Mike Brearley did a job in the 80s, 40 years ago, and I think he's now in his 80s, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he did a fine job. So my two sort of Sam Billings, who's, if you like, within the system, maybe, and Ben Duckett, who's not in the system. A real long shot, but he's in form. I think he's worth a place at the moment, and I know how much his cricket brain is valued. There you are, a bit of a long shot.
As North East works 1-2, short leg, and Slater pops it back at the stumps just in case North East had overbalanced, palmed it back and missed the stumps. Hiraeth on Twitter suggests why not pick a young ambitious captain from the county game such as Ricardo Vasconcelos. The unfortunate thing is that they couldn't pick Ricardo Vasconcelos. I had to check that. He is South African by birth and playing on a Portuguese passport. Hutton bowls, nice drive from North East through the covers. It'll be a couple of runs, and Glamorgan move on to 58 for 2. North East to 6. I know England have picked various people from various parts of the world, but according to my Playfair Cricket Annual, other cricket publications are available. He has NQ for non-qualified next to his name. But certainly scored plenty of runs against Glamorgan, Vasconcelos, notably in last year's chase of 350 odd at Northampton. 58 for 2 here. Hutton bowls, northeast again, drives and finds a gap into the covers, and although it's not quite hit so firmly as the previous delivery, it is another pair of runs to Glamorgan's new recruit.
You know, if you're sort of saying lots of captaincy experience is a prerequisite, and I suppose James Vince has got to come into the reckoning as well. He's had any number of chances, but it seems to me with James Vince, he's always one failure away from people saying he should be dropped. And if you nail him in for an international summer, you're captain, you'll bat 3 or 4 if that's where you want to bat. Get on with it, and he could perhaps do a job, but. Hey, it's not for us, is it? But it is for us just to.
It's for us to talk about.
Yeah, get through 7 hours. Get through 7 hours of the day, and talk about the hot topics. There's James Pattinson, who's always a hot topic, and a bowl to David Lloyd, who's on 26 bowls. Lloyd's pulled it away. There is protection out there. Hamid has found himself grazing in the deep and keeps them to 1, and it's 61 for 2. You won't be surprised. I'm sure if you look out your window, it's a nice day in most places in the UK, but because of that, you won't be surprised to hear there's play underway this morning in all 7 county championship matches. So periodically we'll bring you up to speed. Some outstanding score lines yesterday. Sham Massoud with an unbeaten double 100 for Derbyshire. What a signing he looks to be as Pattinson bowls again to North East, who's had 1 or 2 really uncomfortable deliveries, and works this down to a long leg for a single. 62 for 2. In fact, I'll click on that now, and Shan Massoud currently 223 not out, and at the other end, as I click on that scorecard, Wayne Madsen is 99 not out. Derbyshire have never had such fun times. 360 for 2 against Sussex.
Mr. Fletcher will have to find new words to describe his home county.
Pattinson in again. Lloyd, who's on 27, pushes it back, fielded by the Australian.
Well, the county on which he commentates anyway. Looking forward to joining up with Dave in a couple of weeks' time. Ollie Pope, of course, getting a century yesterday. Finished last season with 274 against Glamorgan, but I reckon I might have got to 10 on that oval wicket. It was so benign.
Derbyshire, this partnership between Massoud and Madsen now worth 269 for the 3rd wicket. Sussex bowlers will be sick of the sight of them as Pattinson bowls again. This time wide of the off peg, but we've seen him do that in the previous over and then jag one back to North East. Is he trying to set Lloyd up in a similar manner?
Well, this is Pattinson's 5th over of the morning. He bowled 3 last night, but of course these are the only 2 bowlers used so far because they had the overnight break in between, so we're still going with the openers, and Glamorgan will be glad when they see Mr. Pattinson taking his cap.
Well,
might not need a sweater.
As you say that, Dane Patterson at mid-on is loosening up, so it might be Pato for Pato at this end. Short, pulled away. Cries of catch it, and it's going to fall short of Joey Everson down at long leg. It went a long way in the air, but one bounce down to Everson. Yes, I would imagine Dane Patterson will bowl from this end to Pattinson. Again, they're having a bit of a chat. He didn't signal no ball, did he? He's chatting to the umpire.
Didn't notice it. But
and he's also chatting to David Lloyd. May well have been commenting on how effectively or not
you're lucky so-and-so.
Yeah, the Australian viewed that particular attempt at the hug shot from David
Lloyd. One of the more vocal bowlers,
yes.
Then I take it.
Yes, he has incurred the findings of the ECB disciplinary committee for 1 or 2 things in the past. He had a bit of a run-in with Paul Collingwood and got him out, gave him an almighty send-off in his first spell as Pattinson bowls. Loose waft outside the off-stump from Sam Northeast, who survives. He's on 9, 63 for 2. That might be the end of James Pattinson for now. It won't be the end. I was going to tell you the score, but there's notification on the board that the library is open during the lunch interval, so I can't tell you the score for the time being, except looking at my screen, it's 63 for 2, but that might be the end of James Pattinson. May well get Dane Patterson into the attack to replace him.
The other game in Division 2 is at Durham, where Durham have piled up 383 for 7 against Leicestershire. As Hutton quickly starting a new over and bowling to Lloyd, who turns that one past Slater at short leg. I'm not sure whether that was a bit aerial as it flew past him at a dizzy velocity. It's a single to Lloyd anyway. Durham, of course, as you may have heard us mention yesterday, relying on big innings from Sean Dixon, 120, and David Bellingham, 191.
Yeah, he used to play his club cricket before getting the chance with Durham here, or just outside Nottingham with the Plumtree Club, so he's well known in this area.
64 for 2. Sam Northeast on strike and pushing forward bat and pad together perfectly safely despite the cries from around the bat. Division 1. Gloucestershire were heavily reliant on a Marcus Harris century yesterday. The rest of them scored fewer than 100 between them as Gloucestershire were bowled out for 227. Yorkshire in reply are 60 for 2. Hutton past the umpire, bowls to Northeast, who plays and misses outside off stump. Well, Glamorgan having a torrid time against this relatively new ball. They'd be really glad if they can get through to lunch relatively unscathed. They've lost 2 wickets. Salter edging to slip, and Labuschagne leg before. Third ball, playing no shot for 3 runs. Canterbury, Lancashire cruising on to 392 for 4 against Kent. Hutton bowls, Northeast drives, doesn't time it. He was looking to play straight. He's got a single through the covers, 65 for 2. Lancashire have Stephen Croft on 144 not out. Dane Vilas was out for 124. And Phil Salt, who's keeping wicket and batting at 6. The Welshman is 49 not out. That's an interesting change for Salt, who's
he's moved up from Sussex, hasn't he, in the close season? One of several players that they've lost: Chris Jordan, Ben Brown.
Hutton bowls and Lloyd will get a single down to fine leg, just turning it off his legs. Lloyd to 30, 66 for 2. Yes, troubled times at Sussex, who used an awful lot of very young players last season.
Yeah, they brought Stephen Finn in to sort of be the spearhead for the attack. And I have to say, he bowled very, very well against Notts last week. He really was the standout performer coming down the slope from the Cromwell Road end. He bowled with good rhythm, good pace, and Finn was a handful throughout the game. But as you say, surrounded by an awful lot of youngsters.
As Hutton to Northeast, who will get runs down to fine leg. It's got gone a lot finer than I was looking. I was looking towards square leg. In fact, it went fine of the fine leg. Failed for 4. Northeast to 14. Glamorgan on to 70 for 2. At Taunton, Somerset was skittled for 109 yesterday. Essex were level with 2 down overnight, but they've lost Sir Alistair Cook for 59 to Australian veteran Peter Siddle. They've also lost Sam Cook, so a pair of Cooks have gone.
Yeah, I saw overnight that they were batting together. I thought that's one scenario I don't want to be commentating on, Cook and Cook.
Too many Cooks now, no Cooks whatsoever.
Still James Pattinson, so he's happy to keep going. This will be his 6th over of the morning, 70 for 2. Bowls to Lloyd. I think it's fair to say he's generating a decent amount of pace.
for the 6 over in his spell as Patterson continues his limbering up at mid-on. And the remaining score to give you at the Oval. Surrey 340 for 3. Pope is 122 not out. Folkes has just gone. In fact, that's the 4th wicket. He's been bowled for 45.
There's James Pattinson in again. Oh, it up easily did. Lloyd didn't quite carry. Well, it didn't carry. It fell a good 8 or 10 feet in front of Dane Patterson at mid-on, but would have been heart in mouth time as the ball was on its way in the air towards mid-on. Good crowd in. I think there's a few more than yesterday, which probably expect because of the bank holiday. Might see 1 or 2 leave this afternoon and then come back at the end. A few Notts County fans. Very often when there's a football match on, some come in and then go and watch the football and then come back. Next one's pushed into the offside. Really good work by who's that? Liam Patterson-White making the stop. And what could have been a boundary is kept to a dot ball. Yeah, Dane Patterson is just about ready. I would imagine we'll see him and Joey Everson in a double change. Perhaps Stephen Mullaney. Yeah, Mullaney's actually loosening up, so it might be Patterson and Mullaney before Joey Everson. 70 for 2. Got an important wicket down at Hove, did Mullaney, dismissing Delray Rawlins. There's Patterson bowling and...
Oh!
Now what's happened with that one? It's jagged back so much it's taken Tom Moores by surprise and he couldn't get there, and it's gone for 4 byes. Extraordinary delivery and reaction off the surface. It's 4 byes.
Did he signal byes, or is it an involuntary top edge?
Might be an involuntary top edge. Can't quite see on the replay, but yeah, it's not gone on the byes. It's gone to David Lloyd, who's on 34.
He was not looking to play a shot,
no.
But wasn't a chance. I think it went flying over the top.
He will be an absolute handful, a real nuisance whenever he's bowling. James Pattinson, he's in again, and Lloyd in a strange sort of way will be relishing this challenge, pushes it into the offside. David Lloyd, somebody of course who's not played international cricket to this stage of his career. You know, it's a real challenge, isn't it, for an opener? And you know, you do have those days where you go out there and you relish a second string attack where you can knock away runs for fun, but you also enjoy facing and challenging the best. And David Lloyd will be eager to get through this spell from James Pattinson, but whilst he's going through it, he'll be enjoying the challenge. Pattinson bowls and forced away to point, and that's the end of the over. And again, we'll look for signs that James Pattinson, who gets a good round of applause, takes his cap from umpire Chris Watts. Might have come to the end of his spell. In fact, Dane Patterson is going to replace Brett Hutton, and we did yesterday. I was talking about the Glamorgan players handing their caps and sweaters to the umpires, and Notts are doing it this morning. So it was obviously just down at Hove last week where the 2 umpires didn't want to, or for whatever reason they didn't take the caps and sweaters, and it was the various 12th men repeatedly running on. So here's Dane Patterson. Got 55 first-class wickets for Notts last year in his first season with the club. Former South African Test player who's now fully committed to Notts. Couldn't get a visa to get back in time for the first game, but he's here for the second, and he's now going to bowl from the pavilion end.
Lucky he didn't end up in Rwanda. 74 for 2. Patterson to northeast as he's forward defending that one back down the wicket, and there's no run. 2 tests, 4 ODIs and 8 T20 internationals played by Dane Patterson. The last test was just over 2 years ago. So full time here. How does he compare on pace to Pattinson?
Not within 5 mph.
Okay. Patterson is in, bowls, and northeast gets a thick angled bat off the edge down into the gully.
Did get a lot of wickets last year with the ball that came back. I mean, we saw Brett Hutton this morning bring one back to Labuschagne, but any number of times last year we saw batsmen with their bat pointing to the sky and their off stump tumbling out of the ground as they've left one that they thought was 9 inches wide of the off stump that's jagged back sharply. Low, skiddy sort of player, as you can see. He's not an absolute giant, but
guile rather than brute force. Then 74 for 2, North East 14 not out, still 3 slips as that one's down the leg side and smartly taken by Moores, moving to his left. Everson wearing 9, even though I had him listed as 90. That was obviously last season's number.
He was Joe 90 last year.
Mark
Morgasethi's throwing his lot in with Stuart Burrard, says he would, for him, be the next England captain, enjoying the coverage. Thanks, Mark. Hope you enjoy your weekend, your Easter week. I've not brought any hot cross buns. I meant to do that.
As North East leaves that one outside the off stump. Ty Samuel, part of the problem is that players have been chopped and changed rather than being given a run for a full test series. What's needed now is some grit and backbone in the middle order with the ability to knuckle down for England. Rodri Mears suggesting that Labuschagne is setting himself up for the second innings hero score, having been dismissed third ball today, depriving the crowd here of a few moments of test-style magic. As North East plays that one into the offside, they think about a single, but Everson is quickly to his right. Take it was as deliberate the Joe 90 pun for Everson, was it? Yeah. In the same way as Route 66, which Billy Root has now abandoned.
Has he?
Yeah, he's been 7 for the last couple of seasons. Thought the joke had run its course. 74 for 2. Next delivery again sees North East play off an angled bat stroke thick edge down to Everson in the gully backward point area. Applause from the crowd for a decent first over from Dane Patterson. It was a maiden over, and Glamorgan remain on 74 for 2, having lost Salter for 16, Labuschagne for 3, Lloyd is 34, North East is 14, a wicket apiece to Pattinson and to Hutton.
Yeah, second ball there of that over slipped down the leg side, but apart from that, the other 5 right on the money. He's not had too much cricket over the winter, Dane Patterson. He played a first-class match, so the late December or beginning of January, his first game since leaving Trent Bridge, and got a 7 for in next to no time at all. Watch that on the live stream, playing for the Warriors. Played a couple of first-class matches and a couple of List A games during the winter, but has largely enjoyed time with the family, away for all of the last English season, of course, from the family, so very much enjoying a catch-up. Stephen Mullaney's going to have a bowl here. He's going to come on ahead of Joey Everson. Did a good job at Hove last week, not only with the bat but with the ball. Dismissed Delray Rawlins there. He's bowling to David Lloyd here, so we've got captain to captain, and this is pushed to mid-on. We had role reversal yesterday. In fact, we had Lloyd bowling to Mullaney, didn't we, for a while? 74 for 2.
Looking back at the beginning of the week, I did an interview and wrote an article around Labuschagne against Broad. How wrong I was. Broad not playing and Labuschagne gone third ball.
Yes, if you'd asked him about Brett Hutton, well, how are you looking forward to your challenge against Brett Hutton, he might well have said who, but he knows who Brett is now. Next ball down the leg side, just drifted down there, and perhaps a little fortunate to get away with it. It goes through to Tom Moores. At Derby, Wayne Madsen has reached 3 figures. He's now 106 not out, and Sean Masood still with him on 233 not out. Next ball is edged, and it would have been edged into the hands of 4th slip, but of course at Stephen Mullaney's pace, he's just got 2 slips there, and it's run away very, very gently down to 3rd man over the rope, and comes to rest at the base of a blue advertising board. And 4 runs to David Lloyd. Didn't know too much about it. Was a false shot. Mullaney with the full teapot. Hands on hips. 78 for 2. Glamorgan beginning the day on 33 without loss.
This Nottinghamshire scorecard makes demands of the spectators, isn't it? Rather than just runs, you have to enter runs. Well, you don't have to. Runs and balls. Wicket. When it fell.
Mullaney bowls. Third slip has gone in there now, and Brett Hutton, he'd actually say he's stood probably in, I was going to say in a 3.5 slip position. In fact, I mentioned earlier about betting Duckett. And having a bit of a captain's brain, he's just giving Brett a bit of an insight as to where to stand. They've sort of staggered it, haven't they, the 3 slips, as Mullaney bowls again. Edge now, in fact it was steered, I beg his pardon. We shouldn't really call that an edge. It was deliberately played to backward point, and Lloyd will get a couple of runs. There are 3 slips there, but Joe Clark is at first, and then there's Duckett in probably a 2.5 slip position, and Brett Hutton in 4th, sort of giving themselves an extra gap. Of course, the ball can go between, and in which case there'll be a bit of an inquest about that, but they're doing their level best to fill as much space as they can if there is an edge. Mullaney bowls, and it goes through to the keeper, who stood back to Stephen Mullaney. You'll often see Tom Moore standing up to Mullaney. 80 for 2. Might be an update for Radio Nottingham in a wee while. Had 19 overs in the innings, so Glamorgan still ticking along at more than 4 and over.
Or possibly not an update for BBC Radio Nottingham. I shall shut up if...
well, no, you're right. We're going to go into the sports show, I think. And
right.
From time to time. Forest kicking off today. They're away at Luton at 12:30, so there'll be 1 or 2 updates before then.
As Patterson bowls and North East, not for the first time, he's looking to play straight, and he's getting the outside part of the bat on it, and it runs out into the offside.
So Kieran Carlson listed to come in next, and Chris Cook and Callum Taylor. Have we got any lefties here? Looking down the list, who's a lefty out of this Glamorgan side?
As we're not over blessed with them.
Notts had 5 in their innings.
As that's worked off his legs by North East. It'll be 1, and they'll come back for a second. They'll have to hurry. Lloyd does hurry as the ball flies past the stumps at the non-strikers end. 2 runs taken, 82 for 2.
That was a good bit of backing up by Liam Patterson-White. It was a strong throw. In fact, it's Calvin Harrison who's on the field. I would imagine James Pattinson's popped off for a comfort break after his spell, so Calvin Harrison, number 31, is the subfielder down at long leg.
James Wheel is our token lefty for Glamorgan. Left-hand bat, right-arm bowler.
Probably see him around about number 8 or 9 in the order, would we, as Patterson is in.
Single taken. Maybe a couple of runs as North East angles it away between slips and gully. Everson is again called into the action. He's had plenty of the ball in a recent over. It's 84 for 2. North East moves to 18 not out. Billy Root, of course, is currently in the second team. Scored a unbeaten 50 for them down in Birmingham.
And Colin Ingram not involved.
And Colin Ingram not involved. With Labuschagne getting a run of games. Patterson in, bowls, and allowed to go through by Sam North East. And there's no run. Different kick-off times for the 2 local teams today, with Notts County in action this afternoon. All the Welsh commentaries are at 3 o'clock.
Where Glamorgan are 84 for 2. It was very interesting over the last couple of days watching from afar all the previews that Glamorgan did ahead of this game, asking Marnus Labuschagne, the world-ranked #1 batsman, how he was going to go about facing Stuart Broad. Well, they might well have asked him how he was going to go about facing Brett Hutton, because first ball this morning that Brett Hutton bowled to Labuschagne, the Australian shouldered arms. Hutton brought it back and had him palpably LBW plumb in front. That was the second wicket the Nods took this morning. James Pattinson dismissed. Andrew Salter went very quickly to Joe Clark at first slip. He's got a good pair of hands and hung on. David Lloyd's there on 40. Sam Northeast, one of the better players up and down the country that hasn't played Test cricket, now finds a home in Glamorgan. He's 19 not out. Notts made 302. Glamorgan 85 for 2 in reply.
As Lloyd is hit on the pads, looking to work on the leg side to conclude Patterson's over. Listeners to BBC Radio Nottingham will have enjoyed Dave's update to a bit of a dance beat. Looking forward to the techno remix in the clubs of Ibiza this summer. Labuschagne was out. Brett Hutton. Listeners to the stream commentary. And viewers didn't get that particular privilege.
No, James Pattinson's back on. Calvin Harrison, the sub, has gone off. So
yeah, just boots change probably.
Yeah, comfort break after his spell.
85 for 2. 153, the follow-on figure.
He's come down here and he's just had a word with the umpire, Chris Watts, as well. There's Mullaney then to bowl his second over. Went for 6 from his first and spears this one into Sam Northeast, who he's come up against several times in the past as opposition captains, Mullaney and Northeast. I've got a few photos of recent county championship matches between Notts and Hampshire, with Stephen Mullaney and Sam Northeast shaking hands, but also back in 2018 as Mullaney comes in to bowl to Northeast. He defends. Back in 2018, you may remember, they had a North v South one-day series in the Caribbean in Barbados, and Stephen Mullaney skippered the North and Sam Northeast skippered the South. So they've come up against each other in both red ball and white ball fairly regularly as rival captains. Of course, Northeast not the captain of Glamorgan right now. He's back in the ranks. That's just his second game. Drops this on the leg side and it's fielded by Asiba Mead, and there's no run.
Yes, Northeast maybe settling for the ability to score as many runs as he can from the middle order for the concluding. Not saying this will be his last contract, but he's got a 3-year deal with Glamorgan.
He's on 19, 85 for 2. Mullaney bowls to him. Nice push into the offside. There's no run. I guess he's just looking for a bit of a permanent home. And yeah, because last year was one of disruption. Played for Hampshire in the first half of the season, then had a bit of a fallout, I understand, over the decision not to play him in white ball cricket. He sees himself as a multi-format cricketer, and Hampshire didn't want to play him in their blast side, as Mullaney bowls nicely worked on the leg side. And as skipper, or one of the senior players down there, he felt his views should be taken into consideration, and it all led to a little bit of a fallout, as I understand. Obviously I'm not privy to it, but then he left. He went to Yorkshire ostensibly on loan, and then it was decided that he was going to leave and came to Trent Bridge, played 3 games, pushes this into the offside for Liam Patterson White.
Was there any consideration of keeping him on a longer term? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think the offer of the 3-year contract from Glamorgan was nice and tempting, and he was happy to take that.
Well, it certainly tempted James Harris back to Glamorgan, because Middlesex were in financial turmoil at the time, and I'm led to understand they were only offering 1-year deals to players out of contract, which obviously is not good for anyone's security in an insecure profession. James Harris out of this match through illness. Hopefully he'll be all right for next week. as Lloyd is beaten by that one, with Patterson getting plenty of bounce and lift outside off stump. Well, this is a good cricket wicket so far, isn't it? It's offered something for the faster bowlers.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's not a road, nor is it an absolute minefield. I think the coaches from both sides pretty much yesterday offered up the same sort of opinion. It's once you're in, you've got an opportunity to go on and build an innings and score good runs. It's just getting in.
As Lloyd faces up to the next delivery from Patterson, which is no shot required, through to Moores. Yeah, David Harrison suggesting the game was about even on day one. Thought he might have been a little bit more optimistic than that, considering he's normally pretty optimistic in his summaries, but talks them up on bad days, but obviously didn't want to go too over the top with his summary of the game position, and losing 2 wickets probably justified his caution early on. Patterson bowls, Lloyd is struck on the pad, getting a decent stride in, not given the LBW appeal. And Lloyd isn't the tallest, but he'd done his best to get forward there.
Did. We just those of you watching the live stream will get the same replay we're seeing now.
Just maybe got outside the line of off stump.
Maybe. Nelson, you see, I'm a firm believer in Nelson. It's struck at Derby. Wayne Madsen is out for 111. Sussex. That's come in the... let's have a look. Has it come just in time? No, it's come in the 112th over.
Oh. Patterson bowls, Lloyd forward, plays back to the bowler.
So it's tough not to get any bowling points, isn't it? After 110 overs, Derbyshire only 2 wickets down. So
down in the dirt.
But that's ended a strong partnership which took Derbyshire from 91 for 2 to 383 for 3. So what's that? 283 plus 9. 292 they put on. Shan Masood is still there on 235.
Patterson to Lloyd, allowing that one to go through to Moores. Glamorgan having a good look at these Nottinghamshire first change bowlers. Patterson and Mullaney. Maybe, presumably, a few of them would have played against Patterson before, but these days they get a reasonable amount of analysis of all opposition players, since so much more is video streamed around the world and chopped to pieces by the analysts. Patterson bowls, Lloyd defends. Back down the pitch, David Lloyd, 40 off 55 deliveries, so still a decent strike rate, but he's just been a little bit more cautious in the last couple of overs.
I know we would have enjoyed bowling on this particular wicket, and I'd have enjoyed watching him. Brought some of the happiest memories I've seen watching Notts. Andre Adams, Nottinghamshire legend, is with us watching from I think he's based now in Australia. There's a lot of coaching in Sydney. He's watching on. Lovely to have you with us, Andre. Looks a great surface, mate. Dane Patterson looks a wonderful bowler too. Very much a bowler after your own heart, Andre. Terrific cricketer here at Trent Bridge, and very much instrumental in the championship success of 2010, as Mullaney, also a member of that side, bowls to Sam Northeast, who's on 19. Strikes him on the pad, runs out as far as Seaber Mead, 85 for 2. It's the thing, isn't it, with the live streams and the BBC commentaries. You go to all 4 corners of the world, and you never know who's going to be listening, who's going to be watching the live streams. And
yes, you have to be careful of any incautious remark, because they might be watching and listening.
Stephen Mullaney, 3 slips, bowls nicely, worked away, went a long way across his stumps there, Northeast, and he's tickled it fine. And there's, I was going to say there's a couple of runs. There is a couple of runs to the total, but came off the pad. Umpire Chris Watts raising his knee in the direction of Roger Marshall and Andrew Hignell. 2 more. Glamorgan 87 for 2 in the 23rd over of their innings. really enjoy it when the rare occasions we get a day or two off, or Notts aren't playing. You can watch the live streams and go around all the different grounds, have a look what's happening as this is pushed back to Stephen Mullaney, and there's no addition to the total. 3 slips, and there's a man on the deep backward point boundary. There's also a fielder at deep square leg, so protection on either side of the wicket, just behind square for Mullaney. Tom Moore still standing back, which indicates that Mullaney's bustling the ball through as he does now, and this is a glorious shot by Sam Northeast through the covers for 4. Takes him to 23.91 for 2. You uttered shot as it left the bat. That really was a lovely bit of cricket from Sam Northeast.
Yes, he didn't really get going in the first match, but had rave reviews from those on the Glamorgan staff as to how he looked in pre-season. Oh, he got plenty of runs and a couple of friendlies and an intra-squad game.
Mullaney comes in again. With a pleasing push from the bat of Northeast. Sounds really nice as it reverberates away from the middle of Northeast's bat, but this one just played up to Joey Everson at mid-on. There's no run.
Just looking back on the last meeting between these two counties here in 2007, James Harris was playing in that one as a very young man, aged about 17 at the time. Nottinghamshire victors by an innings. Harris got a couple of wickets and 21 and 11 with the bat.
91 for 2. Northeast on 23. Final ball of the 23rd over, and again Northeast looking to drive. Plays it up to James Patterson, end of the over. We've had 4 bowlers used so far in the innings. Patterson, Hutton and Mullaney. Still Joey Everson, right arm seamer, young 20-year-old who got a century last week at Hove, but didn't get amongst the wickets, and then yesterday brought down to earth with a 5-ball duck, and he was actually dropped before he was given out LBW, so a miserable time at the crease. See if he can bounce back when he gets a chance with the ball.
Musing on that side, in 2007 for Glamorgan, the batting was opened by Dan Cherry and Mark Wallace, still employed by Glamorgan as operations and director of cricket, as Lloyd drives up to mid-off, no run. Mike Powell will be featuring on some BBC Sport Wales commentaries with me later in the summer. David Hemp, who's I think still coaching Pakistan women. Alex War, first class umpire. Robert Croft, who had several years as Glamorgan's head coach. Nottinghamshire side, Samit Patel was playing. And Paul Franks, who's on the coaching staff.
Was Andre Adams in that side?
As Lloyd defends to mid-on, no run. No, Nottinghamshire side, Gallion, Shafayat, Mark War, David Hussey, Samit Patel, Chris Reed, Elam Franks, Graham Swan, Ryan Side-Beckham, Charlie Shrek. Some well-known names in that side.
Very much so, yeah. Rory Malloy, loving the commentary on this sunny Good Friday. Heard you discussing future England captains, and flabbergasted you didn't mention Stephen Mullaney's name. He should be a shoe-in, and his leadership's exactly what England need.
There's Patterson bowls, and Lloyd checks his drive to mid-on. No run.
I mean, they do talk about, you know, this this pathway, if you like, through the ranks, and you know, a couple of 3 years ago, before the COVID time, Stephen Mullaney was actually skippering the England Lions, but I don't think he's 35, he's 36 at the end of the year. Would love to see it for him. I know it would be obviously a career highlight, but I think his time might have gone. I don't think the selectors are looking at him right now in his role as Nottinghamshire captain. He's just presenting this ball to Richard Illingworth, but they're going to carry on with the same ball, so whether it was a case of just cutting a loose bit of leather off, or whether it was saying, no, Stephen, get on with it, I'm not sure.
Patterson bowls and Lloyd gets a thick edge past third slip. It didn't carry. It'll be a couple of runs down towards third man. Lloyd moves to 42 and Glamorgan to 93 for 2 in reply to Nottinghamshire's 302 all out. Graham Smith points out, as we mentioned, Pattinson off the field briefly. Nothing in the laws allows players to be substituted for a comfort break. Yes, but it happens in every game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take your point.
Yeah, just you know, to get round it, don't it? I'm just going to get the physio, check my heel out. I've got a sore heel.
It's for the bowlers. It's probably changing boots as much as anything. As Lloyd faces up again to the South African paceman, who allows that one to go through outside off stump into the yellow gloves of Tom Moores. Nearly said Peter Moores there. Jamie Lewis says, talking of left-handers, is Ed Byram injured or away? He underwent a minor surgical procedure, which is quite delicate, I think. I haven't been told the exact details. I'm not sure I'd be on to around lunchtime, but yeah, it shouldn't be too serious, and he should be back in a few weeks. Patterson bowls. Lloyd drives into the leg sides. Mid-wicket gets a half a hand on it, but it'll still be a couple of runs, probably saved a couple as it's retrieved from inside the mid-wicket boundary. Lloyd to 44 and Glamorgan moved to 95 for 2. It was Ben Slater who saved the runs there, as he eventually hauled himself up off the turf where he'd stayed down, maybe fearing the return throw would come whizzing over his head any minute. 95 for 2, Glamorgan recovering, one short of a half-century partnership.
Simon Aldridge, it's a good job I follow you, because I've just seen you tweet and you've not copied us in. I presume it's to us. Simon's a Notts fan. Morning, gents. Sunny day here in Norwich. Great to see the skip bowling. Think he underbowls himself. Have a great day. Thanks, Simon. You need to stick at Brace Cricketer at Nick Webb there to get to us, but I saw that one as it flashed through. David Revel, breaking news, Dave. I'm off the COVID sofa, listening to the comms in the garden in sunny St Albans. Now get me some wickets. Hope you're on the way to recovery as this is pushed into the offside. 95 for 2 on the personal news on that score. Sleep. No, not a sleepless night. The opposite of a sleepless night. Slept through, so
well done.
Didn't wake up barking my head off at 3 o'clock in the morning and have to resort to the lozenge or the syrup or whatever. I think since I had it about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, I think that's the first time I've slept through. So we're getting there. There's Mullaney. Bowls, nice looking push out into the offside by North East, takes him to 24. What are they applauding? They're applauding the 50 partnership from 91 balls between Glamorgan captain David Lloyd and Sam North East, and it's an identical split, Nick. 24 runs apiece and a couple of extras as well to make up the 50.
Yeah, Lloyd's facing slightly fewer deliveries. North East just gently easing his way into his knock.
Mullaney now to bowl to Lloyd, who's on 44. Ooh. And he's gone hard at that one, a thickish outside edge. Again, it would have gone through fourth slip, and it's run down to third man for a boundary. Little fortuitous, but you pay your money and you takes your choice, and there'll be more applause because the Glamorgan total now goes into 3 figures. 100 for 2, and David Lloyd is on to 48.
Yeah, Lloyd is one of those players who will look to be aggressive. He started his opening role as a T20 opener, but that's been adapted to Championship as well these days. Just 5 or 6 minutes or so away from the Nottingham Forest kick-off, so just had the alert that we're going to be updating Radio Nottingham listeners, the radio listeners, in just a second. Forest playing Luton, for those of you outside the country, or those of you that simply don't care. Next ball is worked away onto the leg side, fielded
by a Seba Mead at mid-wicket, 100 for 2. Closing in on 12:30 UK time, so lunch about 35 minutes or so away.
Yeah, it's one of the things that had been drummed into me when I started doing writing a few bits online. Always put BST or GMT for your timings.
Mullaney to bowl to Lloyd, who defends this one, 100 for 2. Glamorgan have taken their total into 3 figures. They're 100 for 2. Their captain David Lloyd has moved on to 48. He's just edged Stephen Mullaney a couple of times through the vacant 3rd or 4th slip area down to that 3rd man fence. But apart from that, playing nicely, as is Sam Northeast at the other end, who's got a record of scoring good runs against Notts from his time with Hampshire. The 2 wickets to go down. Andrew Salter fell to the Australian James Pattinson. We were really looking forward then to the prospective duel between Pattinson and Marnus Labuschagne, the world #1 batsman, but it was Brett Hutton who got the Australian. He'd made 3. First ball he received from Brett Hutton, he left it alone, bat pointing towards the sky, and the ball jagged back to trap him LBW in front. It was 46 for 2 then. Glamorgan now 100 for 2.
And Labuschagne will probably be rehearsing that injudicious decision and going through it time and time again. He really is a cricket obsessive, Marnus Labuschagne. Had a 90-minute net at Sophia Gardens on Monday as Patterson starts a new over, bowling to northeast, and he flicks it away backward of square for a single. 101 for 2, northeast 25 not out.
Get him out on the outfield at lunch. Let the youngsters have a bit of a bowl at him. What a thrill that would be.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I can remember, and I've mentioned this on commentary a few times, especially when Warwickshire come. I would only have been 12 or 13, and Alvin Kalicharan came, and he came out with a bag of balls about 10 o'clock in the morning, and here you go, bowl some balls at me.
Patterson is in to bowl. There's an appeal for LBW as Lloyd plays no shot. Flicked the top of the pad outside off stump. Ended up in the keeper's hands. No response. I think that one was probably too high.
Again, he wasn't playing a shot there, was he? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was hitting, which is obviously a fundamental part of him giving out LBW, but you know, a slight error of judgment. There'd have been a few palpitations, especially with him on 48.
As Lloyd, who was out for 28 naught in the first match, faces up to Patterson. There's another truncated LBW appeal, not really carried through, as Lloyd was looking to play that one to mid-wicket, where there are certainly plenty of singles available on the leg side, because only mid-on saving the single. Square leg back on the fence. Fine leg squarish on a shortish boundary on the 45. 3 slips or 2 slips in a gully. Pays your money and takes your choice as to whether Hutton is 4th slip or gully, somewhere in that location. Patterson bowls, Lloyd forward, plays to backward point Everson Fields. No runners. Some cloud passes over Trent Bridge, but it is by and large a fine day with high fluffy white clouds.
It's very nice, isn't it, considering we're only in mid-April. Joel says, good afternoon, gents. Listening in from a sunny Cambridge. I'm looking for a Nottingham double this afternoon. Back in a win for the Tricky Trees and plenty of wickets for Notts. 101 for 2.
Patterson bowls, Lloyd pushes on the leg side and takes one of those singles that I referred to as being available. Lloyd to 49, Glamorgan 102 for 2 in reply to Nottinghamshire's 302. Glamorgan trail by 200 runs, the scoreboard informs us.
Late finish last night, if you weren't with us, 7 o'clock finish, so that's an hour beyond the scheduled close. It scuppered Nick's plans to go off and watch Mamma Mia at the theatre on all week.
Patterson into bowl, and forward comes Northeast to defend the last ball of the over. 102 for 2, Lloyd 49, Northeast 25, wicket apiece this morning for Pattinson and Hutton, the opening bowlers.
Club night tonight, though, for you. You'll be out enjoying the Nottingham scene.
Oh, absolutely. Probably trying to find some sport on the iPad or the telly.
Stephen Mullaney, 4 overs, none for 15. Nick is coming out of the attack.
A short burst from the skipper. What's on rugby wise? I don't think there's
On what?
rugby wise. Well, just in terms of rugby union, being my winter pursuit. Bristol against Sale in the Champions Cup. I can have a look at that at 8 o'clock if I can get it up on my iPad.
Better off with Mamma Mia, surely. It's going to be Joey Everson. The thing with being an all-rounder is sometimes if if your game is slightly off or you're disappointed in one area, you can come back and play a role in another. And this talented all-rounder out for a duck yesterday, so it might just be due some wickets. Century. Unbeaten century at Hove last week against Sussex. This just his 8th first-class game. Joey Everson from the Radcliffe Road end to bowl to David Lloyd on 49, and his first ball is a low full toss which is whipped away, and there will be applause from the Glamorgan supporters. There will be applause indeed from the Nottinghamshire supporters, because that's been a fine hand by David Lloyd, the Glamorgan captain, who might circumstances have just been slightly different by a centimetre or two, who might have been dismissed on naught. And if you're wondering what I'm referring to, last night, second ball of the innings, James Pattinson had him caught at slip by Ben Duckett, but it was called a no ball. Pattinson has slightly overstepped. Everson now bowls to Northeast, who helps this out onto the leg side, fielded by Asiba Mead. Graham Rowley's been in touch. I've just seen a certain Mr. Broad at Kenilworth Road, obviously happy to leave the Trent Bridge boys to do the business. Yes, he's been here netting this week and was on the ground yesterday, had a net, went down to Lady Bay, had a net. This one goes through to the keeper. I suppose he's entitled to some of his own time, and big Forest fan. He's obviously down at Kenilworth Road watching Luton Town versus Forest. 103 for 2.
That's the net facility just down the road, is it, rather than here at the ground?
Lady Bay, where you've parked,
yeah.
The Not Seconds will play there, and there's plenty of excellent netting facilities, yep. Joey Everson again, past Chris Watts, bowls it back past him, but can't beat mid-off. Dane, I beg your pardon, James Pattinson. So used to Dane Patterson having number 4. Get used again to Pattinson having his old number back.
Oh dear.
I've only just got used to James Taylor wearing number 4.
Similar names, changing numbers doesn't help.
103 for 2 as Everson comes in again, and Sam Northeast giving him plenty of respect there as he stretches forward on the front foot and defends it out under the offside. So we began the day with Glamorgan on 33 without loss after 5 overs. There's one ball left here in the 27th, so Notts have bowled 22 so far this morning. There are 25 minutes left, so they're not going to be anywhere near the requisite number that they should get through in a session. 103 for 2, but as we saw last week, as and when it's the time of Liam Patterson-White, absolutely bombs through his overs in about a minute and 10, minute and 15, and an over 8 that might just be slipping away from him will suddenly be many in profit if he's on for a lengthy spell. 103 for 2 at the end of that over.
Yeah, we only saw 5 overs from Andrew Salter without rewards in terms of spin in the Nottinghamshire innings. If you're looking at the scorecard today and saying, well, hang on, Labuschagne bowled 5 overs as well. He, for the first time for Glamorgan, bowled seam up rather than leg spin. and got 2 wickets, so can't argue with him. And he has been on to the club's coaches apparently for several weeks, pointing out his performances in Australia.
He loved his successes as well, didn't he? Particularly a caught and bowl off Ben Duckett.
New over sees Lloyd driving into the offside straight to Hamid at cover. How hirsute is Hamid this year? Is he still he's going down the back or not?
He's lined up with all the sheep and been shorn
right.
this spring. We had down at Hove last week, Finn Hudson-Prentice is currently out of the game, injured at the moment, and he came onto commentary and talked about the length of his hair in Asiba Meads last year and Rory Burns.
A short ball, Lloyd hooks, got it down into the ground to a fine leg. Single taken, 104 for 2.
It's funny the things you discuss, and when you get a guest up to have a chat with you as well, and he was saying he thinks Rory Burns is now with the longest hair in the county championship, and obviously Hamid, having had his hair cut, has now fallen out of the race. But yeah, he feels sorry for Finn Hudson-Prentice. A good winter down at Sussex, and then a stress fracture of the back, so he's going to be out for several weeks.
North East facing up then to Patterson, who sees the batsman tuck that one a few metres away on the leg side, and Patterson fields in his follow through. If I can get my teeth in place.
John Simpson's been in touch from the North Sea coast, enjoying watching the game, listening to the commentary from Mablethorpe. Next home match, I'll be at the ground. Moving back to Nottingham after 17 years away next week. Membership already got in anticipation of the move. Lovely to hear from you, John. Hope the move goes well. Look forward to seeing you at Trent Bridge.
Patterson to North East, drives to mid-off. No run.
Big thing, isn't it? A move, a house move. After 17 years.
That's probably why I haven't moved in 30 years, give or take.
Well, the first sort of half of my life, or adult life, I was in the Air Force. So I was moving here, there and everywhere, and never really was settled for too long, for about 20 years. Last 26 years though in the kingdom of Newark.
104 for 2. Patterson to North East, defends on the offside, no run. Did you tarry long in any particular countries during your time in the Air Force?
Italy. I had 6 out of 7 years. I was in Italy. I had 5 years. Then was back in England for a year. Then went back for another year. So in Sardinia, to be specific.
Not much cricket there. Plenty of football.
Oh, they're absolutely crackers for their football. And of course, I was there for the 1990 World Cup.
As North East defends another ball from Patterson. So a quiet over. Patterson 0 for 12 off 6. Glamorgan 104 for 2 after 28.
A little bit of movement from the patrons as they saw the Masters Golf last weekend, as much as I could, and call them the patrons, don't they? The spectators, the patrons here. Some of them getting just a little twitchy, a little edgy as we get closer to lunch. Going to find the concessionary kiosks on the concourses, perhaps get a bite to eat, or a hot warming drink, or maybe even a glass of something cold and refreshing. It's that sort of day. 104 for 2. Joey Everson bowls outside the off peg to David Lloyd, who's on 51 and has played really nicely for the most part after that scare last night. If you do get a chance to speak to him through the course of the game, Nick, it'd be interesting to know his thoughts. Did he hear the no ball call?
Of course I did.
And how relieved was he knowing he'd nicked it straight to Ben Duckett at slip, then to hear the no ball call if he didn't pick it up until afterwards. As Everson bowls again to Lloyd, pushes it into the offside. A lot of the venom, of course, has gone out of the attack since James Pattinson came out of the attack, the Ball now 29 overs old. It's certainly a different kettle of fish playing James Pattinson on there to playing Joey Everson, isn't it?
Quite. Skipper, if he's dismissed by then, maybe I'll be keeping an ear on the Wrexham commentary this afternoon. He's a big Wrexham follower. David Lloyd tries to get the racecourse when he can.
104 for 2. Next ball is again nicely defended by David Lloyd. Everson, well, 9 balls now, only gone for a single, putting the ball in good areas, just outside the off stump here. And Lloyd not willing to be overly attacking or take any risks against him. Patterson White whirling his arms around, whether that's because Stephen Mullaney's given him the nod or whether he's perhaps trying to catch the eye of the skipper just before lunch. Everson in, worked away through the leg side this time. At least 2, couple of fielders after it coming from different directions. Asiba Mead wins the race ahead of Dane Patterson, and they do settle on 2. And it's 106 for 2 here at Trent Bridge. So Glamorgan currently trail by 196 as the strap line on the bottom of the Batman board. Notts made 302. Bonus point situation in the match at the moment is 3 apiece. Notts 3 batting points. Yesterday Glamorgan 3 bowling points. Next ball driven back. Presume Everson got a bit of a finger on that one to take the pace out of it. And so there's no run.
Elsewhere in Division 2, Derbyshire now 410 for 5. 410 for 6 against Sussex, who've struck back slightly, albeit belatedly. Masood out for 239. Madsen for 111, and a couple more have gone as well.
Joey Everson bowls to Lloyd. That concludes another over with a defensive push. 29 overs have gone in the innings, 106 for 2 here.
So it's a collapse at Derby. They've lost 4 wickets for 27, albeit having scored 4 batting points to Sussex's no bowling points, as Dave was saying earlier. That's a bit of a rarity. Chester Le Street, Durham 425 for 8 against Leicestershire, with Ben Rain 49 not out. We had a bit of trouble with him last week because when you said rain comes in, it was equally applicable to the bowler and the weather over the first couple of days. So we had to resort to giving him a full name so as not to confuse people. 106 for 2, 18 minutes until the lunch interval. As North East drives nicely, he's got that one through the offside up towards the scoreboard. It will go all the way, in fact, and North East picks up another 410 for 2.
While Nick was reading the scores there, slight delay whilst some pads and all the protective gear was brought on for Asiba Mead, who's now getting himself dressed, which would perhaps indicate that Liam Patterson-White is going to have an over with the short leg in there. It's interesting that Ben Slater seems now to be doing it for the quicks, and Asiba Mead in there for the spinner. But to me, definitely getting dressed. He's got the protective pads on. I do think they could do that off the field of play. We shouldn't hold up play while somebody's getting dressed. Hamid
then padded up and protected while fielding at cover as North East allows that one to go through outside off stump, and there is no run. As it's always a bit of a short straw, isn't it? Fielding one end somewhere in the ring and having to bustle around with your pads on because you're fielding at short leg the other end. 110 for 2. Cloud passing overhead. Patterson runs towards us, bowls, and North East defends. Not that I want to jinx him, but he's looking fairly solid at the moment, Sam North East.
Just to confirm, really, because a lot of people sometimes make comments about it. I'm not aware of any football score, or won't give any football scores myself, either through the course of the Forest game or the other games, Mansfield Town and Notts County later on. But you know, I know there's people that do record games and whatever, but now and again you'll get a blast of Radio Nottingham in my ears, and if you hear something, well, that's beyond our control.
As North East plays that one off a thick inside edge down to fine leg and takes a single. Nelson on the board, 111 for 2. North East has 30.
There's nothing worse than if there is 2 sports events on at the same time that you want to follow, and you know, you make plans, isn't there, to I'll watch or I'll listen to that one, and I'll
would Notts County be on televised anywhere then?
Well, what, sorry?
Would the Notts County game be televised anywhere? Or
well, it'll be live on Radio Nottingham,
yeah.
so we might hear it in our ears later on, and obviously there'll be.
I might slip a few Welsh football scores in. I don't tend to get any complaints.
Yeah, that's entirely up to you.
As Lloyd drives at that one, I thought for a moment there was a noise as it went through to Moores, but it must have been bat on pad, and Lloyd goes down the wicket to have a little prod.
Would have been your fault. You've not got your feet off the ground. Nelson on the board.
They can't see us up here. 3 floors up.
No, they can. They can.
My reasonably lengthy legs are uncomfortable enough in most commentary boxes. At the best of times, Patterson to Lloyd, who pushes forward. Ball runs out to Hamid at cover. 111 for 2. Lloyd has 53. North East 30.
Where were you yesterday defending with all the people saying that I'd got Joey Everson out? Because I just literally, as the bowler was running in, saying he'd not yet been dismissed this season in either in pre-season or at home last week. Well, you see, you can't have, you know, that being a jinx and then not believing 111. there is the commentator's curse. It is a thing. If it is going to be Liam Patterson-White to bowl before lunch, he's not required just yet. And where are we? Still a bit of time, about 13 minutes or so. Here's Everson then to continue, bowling to North East, who's unflappably and characteristically just made his way to 30, and almost before you know it, he'll have a half century and then be knocking on the door of a 3-figure score if previous performances against Notts are anything to be taken into account. He's, as I said when he came in, for my money, high quality performer. Everson to bowl to Sam North East, and he's got a boundary here. It was angling down the leg side, and he's done nothing more than help it on its way. 4 more takes him to 34. You've not picked your feet up, but if you had, you can put them down. It's 115 for 2. Notts made 302 yesterday. If you weren't with us, Ben Duckett made 122, the standout innings. Stephen Mullaney, the captain, who got a big 100 last week at home, made 44. What else did we have by way of contributions? Joe Clark made 35 as Everson bowls, and it's defended. Joe Clark made 35, although looking at the official scorecard here that's on sale in the ground, and we've been supplied with a couple of copies, he made 87. That's not quite correct. He faced 87 balls, but Clark made 35 yesterday, and who else was there? Seba Mead made 34, but the standout innings, that magnificent century from Ben Duckett, who himself was dropped on 29 by North East. Everson bowls, and there's more runs here to the former Kent skipper, guiding it down to third man for a couple. He's on to 36, 117 for 2, and this partnership now worth 71. It did seem as if the innings was in danger of just spiralling out of control when Salter and Labuschagne followed each other back, but a couple of fine players at the crease have soon put paid to those thoughts. North East on 36. Joey Everson bowls, and another run here. to North East, guiding it down with an open face to deep backward square. 118 for 2.
Yeah, says David Harrison, the Glamorgan assistant coach suggested, once you're in, things do get easier, it appears. Albeit the bowlers still in their first spells in...
There's a full toss from Everson, and it's beaten the dive at mid-on, and they will get a couple of runs. Stephen Mullaney, who dived in vain for it, Pattinson doing the chasing, so quite an expensive over from Joey Everson after 2 very tight ones, 3 overs, none for 12. I talked about youngsters, the joy of seeing youngsters on the pitch at lunchtime yesterday and at tea time. And KP, I don't think it's that KP. KP says my 6-year-old loved it, being able to go out on the pitch yesterday, Dave. He didn't even mind when Luke Fletcher came out and bowled him out and celebrated doing it. And there's a picture of Luke Fletcher celebrating bowling his 6-year-old son out yesterday. KP, thanks very much, and that's brilliant of Luke to get involved, and it'd be very nice to see the youngsters out there today. We're going to have some twirly-whirly stuff from Liam Patterson-White, who took 8 wickets in the match at Hove last week, bowled 70-odd overs in order to do it. A 5 in the first innings, 3 in the second. And as I mentioned at the start, if you weren't with us at the start, Jack Birkenshaw, who's one of the ECB scouts, looks out for good spin bowlers, is here watching.
So, can Patterson-White impress? North East on 37. There's the man at the other end, watching his first ball very carefully onto the bat. The women's game, Western Storm, who include Welsh players and playing 1 game in Cardiff. They're out playing some pre-season in Spain at the moment. Lost to South East Stars by 4 wickets in the 2020 today. As Patterson-White bowls, and North East is hit on the pad, looking to turn on the leg side.
Well, those of you that listened last Sunday to the commentary down at Hove would know we had Chloe Brewer with us, Surrey women's player, who was going out to play in that match for South East Stars. Chloe Brewer.
As Patterson-White bowls again, North East slog sweeps and will get 4 runs down to backward square. No real movement from the fielder, just retrieving it, bouncing back off the stand away to our left.
Did she make the starting 11?
Not on this occasion.
Brewer,
but I
South East Stars?
think that no.
No? Oh.
They're playing a series of matches, so probably a bit of rotation there. As North East works another one into the leg side, this time slightly more gently, and they'll settle for a single, 125 for 2. Western Storm managed 131 for 7 in their 20 overs. Bethan Gammon, the Welsh wicketkeeper, top scored with 42 not out. Stars got home off the last ball, it looks like, 141 for 6. Oh no, they batted on, as they tend to do in practice matches. Lloyd defends the next ball, and there's no run.
Just on women's cricket, Chris Guest, who's the head coach of Loughborough Lightning, will be joining Nick and myself tomorrow as a bit of backup coming in to join us on the commentary.
As Patterson gives it, White gives it a bit of a tweak, and Lloyd deflects it down to fine leg for a single. So yeah, I think at least 3 Welsh players in that Storm side at the moment. The youngster Sophia Smale opening the bowling, got 1 for 17. Alex Griffiths, the all-rounder, playing as well. 126 for 2.
So P. White, as it says on the board, Liam Patterson-White's first over, going for 6 runs, didn't really settle. Sam North East getting him away for a boundary. North East on to 42 now. This partnership worth 80 is Everson. Bowl short, pulled away for more. In fact, there's only 1. He's picked out the fielder. Dane Patterson down there, so 127 for 2. Probably time for 2 more overs, or this one and then another over. I'll make it 5-1. Although yesterday, I think, in fact, all our collective timepieces, the laptops, the phones, the watches, the clock above the pavilion, there all seemed to say 1 o'clock, and the umpires decided we'd have another over. So we're not sure as this one's pushed into the offside. It seems the whatever they're going by, whether the clock atop the Radcliffe Road stand here or their own watches or whatever, but they went on, didn't they, a little longer at lunch than we anticipated yesterday. 127 for 2.
Enjoying themselves too much out there.
So where were we? We were 33, weren't we, at the start of
33
the day?
off 5,
so 90. Yeah. What are we? 94 for 2 this morning.
Yep.
Pushed into the offside, and there's no run. So make a case for Glamorgan winning it. You can make a case for it being an even session. Whatever way you want to call it, but 94 for 2 is the morning's outcome so far, with perhaps an over and a bit left.
Yeah, getting Marnus Labuschagne cheaply obviously tipped things Knott's way at one point.
There's Everson. Another wicket might just bring Notts more into contention for a little more than a share of the spoils. Single taken here by Lloyd takes him to 57.
So I'll be back on commentary after lunch as I depart stage left to update BBC Radio Wales listeners.
If you go stage left, you're going the wrong way. You need to go stage right.
Pursued by a bear. Oh no, we're not at Warwickshire.
Thanks very much to Nick Webb for his company and commentary this morning. And Nick will be back when play restarts at 20-2. Everson bowls, and this one's drilled up to mid-on to Stephen Mullaney, the Nottinghamshire captain. Next week, Notts are at Durham for round 3. Durham very much with the upper hand. Their home match this week against Leicestershire. They're still batting, currently 428 for 9. Big centuries from Beddingham and Sean Dixon. Ben Rain there, 51 not out against Leicestershire, his former county. Durham 428 for 9. They'll be sure desperate to only bat once in that one. Everson bowls and it's banged in short. Lloyd ducks underneath it. 128 for 2. So I'm making it about 2.5 minutes to 1. Depends how long this over takes to bowl. Advert on the big screen, and reminder for those of you that like to get the Nottinghamshire County Cricket Annual. The current edition is now out, now available. Priced at £5. Again, put together by the Nottingham Cricket Lovers Society. An absolutely magnificent tome of. I've had a flick through in the days off between matches, and certainly in hotels at away grounds. I always have it with me, have a good old read. But there's plenty of material in there for Nottinghamshire cricket lovers, as this one's dropped on the leg side by Sam Northeast. Everything in there to do with all the cricket across the county last year, and of course a good look forward to the cricket this year and all the players and personalities involved. Patterson White bowling, nicely done by Hamid at short leg as Northeast played it to him on the bounce. 128 for 2. This is the 34th over of the innings. So 29 overs will have been bowled this morning at the end of this one. Again, Northeast happy to defend. Knows the value of keeping his wicket intact into the luncheon break, and pursue the quest of his own individual half century afterwards. He's 43 not out as he defends this time. 128 for 2. Trent Bridge looking an absolute picture. A real credit to Steve Burks, the head groundsman, and his excellent staff here. Next ball is a repeat of the last 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe, as it's defended by Sam Northeast, and Liam Patterson White 1 ball away from a maiden. He's got through this over fairly quickly, but I make it smack on 1 o'clock, and if they're going by whatever they did yesterday, they might get another over in. Again, played down to Asiba Mead. And umpire Illingworth hands his cap to Liam Patterson-White and starts walking out to square leg. So despite my laptop saying it's 1 o'clock, my watch saying it's 1 o'clock, my phone saying it's 1:00, and the clock at the far end saying 1 o'clock, it's apparently not 1 o'clock. 1:28 for 2. We're going to get one more over in. Still going to be Joey Everson. This will be his 5th over. 4 overs, none for 14 to Everson. 3 tight overs. Went for, I think it was 10 in his 3rd over. He's in bowls, and Lloyd leaves it alone. He's on 57. Partnership of 82. The men out in this session. Andrew Salter, the opener, caught by Joe Clark at first slip off the bowling of James Pattinson for 16. That was in the 9th over. It's 41 for 1. In came Marnus Labuschagne. He scored 3 in that Pattinson over, got down the other end, and then fell the first ball he faced from Brett Hutton. LBW not playing a shot for 3, as Lloyd again defends. That was 46 for 2 at the start of the 10th over. Since then, Lloyd and North East have very much gone about their work without too much fuss or highlight. There was a couple of edges off Stephen Mullaney that raced away to the 3rd man fence wide of the slip cordon. Looked to be involuntary shots, but got away with it. This goes through to the keeper, but nothing much else to really make the heart beat a little faster for either batsman. Lloyd 57, North East 43, halfway through this final over of the session. '30th over of this morning period. Everson in again. It's ball to David Lloyd. Take a single this time. Plenty of space on the leg side. Stephen Mullaney has to run round from mid-on to mid-wicket to field, but they take the run. 129 for 2. So 96 runs have come between the start of play and right now. Everson to bowl. They'll get another single, just dropping it down on the leg side. 130 for 2. So 1 ball left in the session. Very much enjoyed your company this morning. Thanks to everybody that's taken the trouble to get in touch on the old Twittery thing, at Brace Cricket, at Nick Webb 2017. Enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back with you for the afternoon session in around about 40 minutes time, when Nottinghamshire will begin their pursuit of trying to work their way into the Glamorgan middle order, as this goes harmlessly through to Moors, and Glamorgan will be continuing their pursuit of closing in on the Nottinghamshire first innings score of 302. They're 172 behind at lunch on day 2 here at Trent Bridge. Glamorgan 130 for 2. now on strike. So Pattinson to Lloyd, start of the second over of the morning. Oh, full toss, hit down the ground. Not entirely sure he's got it completely out of the middle, but certainly got enough on it to get 16. All the makings of a decent platform being laid here, but Pattinson gets the breakthrough. Joe Clark with the catch at first slip, and Salter has gone. Made his way to 16, and Joe Clark takes a catch at comfortable height in truth, but it went very quickly through to him, and James Pattinson is up and running with his first wicket in his third.
As Hutton is in to Labuschagne, who leaves. There's a big appeal, he's given out. Marnus Labuschagne goes for 3. Nottinghamshire have their gun wicket. Misjudgment by Labuschagne, and off he goes, 46 for 2.
Didn't play a shot. Brett Hutton just jagging it back in to the Australian. Oh, and it looks absolutely stone cold dead. The error of judgment from Marnus Labuschagne, and he's gone. He's on his way back. Won't be able to hurt knots in this fight.
As one of the newer members of the circuit, as Lloyd gets a thick edge to the first ball from Hutton and runs it down towards third man. It's enthusiastically pursued by Hasib Hamid and keeps the... As Hutton to northeast, who will get runs down to fine leg. It's got gone a lot finer than I was looking. I was looking towards square leg.
Down at Hove did Mullaney, dismissing Delray Rawlins. There's Patterson bowling, and oh, now what's happened with that one? It's jagged back so much it's taken Tom Moores by surprise, and he couldn't get there, and it's gone for 4 byes. Extraordinary delivery and reaction off the surface. I think it's 4 byes.
Did he signal?
233 not out. Next ball is edged, and it would have been edged into the hands of 4th slip, but of course at Stephen Mullaney's pace, he's just got 2 slips there, and it's run away very, very gently down to third man, over the rope, and comes to rest at the back, which indicates that Mullaney's bustling the ball through, as he does now, and this is a glorious shot by Sam Northeast through the covers for 4.